Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi with Business Spotlight. Joining me today is Nadeem Keshavjee, who is president and founder of GreenBirch Capital. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on, Mario.
Well, let me just start by asking you, Nadeem, tell me a little bit about the company and what you guys do.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're a commercial mortgage brokerage. We started in 2021, but I've been in the business for close to a decade now, and we specialize in financing commercial mortgages, which really entails apartment buildings, commercial properties, and then construction financing for all those properties. So both existing properties and new construction.
So tell me a little bit about your background and how you got into this.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been doing commercial mortgages for, like I was saying, close to a decade before starting the company with a large national commercial mortgage brokerage. In that time, we've funded over $1.5 billion in these types of mortgages. And prior to that, I enjoyed collecting letters. I did a business undergrad, an MBA, and I'm a chartered accountant as well. Yeah, we started a year ago. Been extremely busy, and like I said, we've been in the industry for close to a decade prior to that.
All right, can you tell me a little bit about the real estate types of real estate you get involved in?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a broad range. I mean, we don't get into anything that's sort of on the multifamily side, anything less than 5 units, but 5 or more units we'll do, and that sort of entails on the multifamily side, townhouse, condo, or rental, and then also industrial, retail, and office are sort of the 4 major asset classes along with multifamily. And then we also do a fair bit of specialty asset classes, I like to call them, seniors, hotels, self-storage, mobile home park, and then of course the foundation to all of those asset classes is land, and we do a decent amount of land financing as well. So quite a broad range of asset classes that we cover.
And what's your range in terms of geography of where your clients are coming from?
Yeah, it's pretty broad actually. We sort of cover most of the country from coast to coast. We do a fair bit of business in BC, Alberta, where I'm located right now in the prairies. We also do a fair bit of business in Ontario, and more recently we've started doing some business in Atlantic Canada too, which has been a great market as well. So cover most of the country, definitely the coast, and a lot of provinces in between.
So tell me a little bit about the types of loans that you're involved in.
Yeah, for sure. So I would say the two types of loans, the 2 major ones are construction financing. So any of those asset classes I talked about, if people are building them from the ground up, we do a lot of that type of financing. And then for existing buildings, we do financing for those as well. And that's we'd call it term financing for a building that's pretty stable, that has sort of their income at market. And then we'll also do what we call bridge financing, which is a building that doesn't have their income to market or might be vacant or mismanaged or that sort of thing. And we'll do bridge financing for those types of buildings to help a buyer or an owner get it up to a standard where it can be financed by a conventional lender.
Okay, and tell me a little bit about why you think people should choose GreenBirch Capital for their ventures, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say there's probably three big reasons that I would say sort of differentiate ourselves. The first one is the client's best interest. We're a brokerage that is very clear about who we are and what we do, and we're really big on putting the client first and putting their best interest first. In the world that we operate in commercial mortgages, there's lots of brokerages that might have their own capital, or lenders that really function like brokerages, whereas we're very clear on who we are, and we're very clear on putting the client first. So that's probably the first big reason. The second one would be competence. Like I talked about before, we really focus on commercial and multifamily real estate construction and term financing. We don't do any financing for homeowner real estate or residential real estate, as we call it. And that I think it makes us experts in what we do, because it's a whole different type of financing. So we have pretty deep, extensive knowledge, and structured deals with imparting that knowledge to clients. So I think the second big reason is competence. And then the third one I would say is certainty. That's really giving clients the certainty of execution. Sometimes they're time sensitive transactions, or it's really critical that a transaction closes and does so with a degree of certainty on what the fact that it'll close and what those terms will be. And that's one of the other areas we pride ourselves in, is the ability to deliver quickly and provide that comfort and that certainty to clients. So I would say those are the three big differentiators for ourselves.
When you look at Nadeem, the current market out there from a commercial real estate perspective, we all know that the residential market is on fire across Canada, no matter where you go. And but I'm curious about the commercial market. What are your thoughts on what's happening in that industry right now?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, look, we're early May, 2022. I mean, the big focus right now is interest rates. It's the sort of the thing on everybody's minds, and it's very much impacting commercial real estate, I think, as well. As interest rates continue to rise, it squeezes some of the real estate investors and developers on the commercial side. And I think what they're really paying attention to is the spread between the capitalization rate that they're paying, or the cap rate they're paying for an asset, and the interest rates. And as interest rates continue to rise, that spread narrows, and so it makes it a little bit more challenging to get deals done at some of the cap rates that sellers sometimes want. So I think that's sort of a big overarching challenge in the commercial real estate industry in general. And then I think further to that, I would say that you have different things happening with different asset classes. So I think in the multifamily asset class, for example, there's a fantastic new program that we've been doing a lot of business with, which is CMHC's MLI Select program, and it provides 95% leverage and up to 50-year amortizations on apartment buildings in Canada. So that launched a few weeks ago. It's been extremely popular, and I think it's really sort of helped spur that asset class a little bit. But it's also, that asset class also has been really resilient through COVID. It hasn't suffered too much in the same way that other asset classes have. Yeah. And then it's sort of our, Canada sort of focused on immigration and what their plans are for the coming months and years, are also all these things that sort of really help support multifamily rental as an asset class. Another asset class that's benefited from COVID has been industrial. Because of the need for more deliveries and having sort of that type of environment where the presence of warehouses close to major centers is important. The industrial asset class has been really strong. On the other hand, you have asset classes like office and retail that have struggled a little bit more through the pandemic. Office with people coming back in the office or working from home, and sort of seeing how that's all going to play out has been a bit of a challenge for the office market. Yeah. And then retail as well, with restaurants starting to open up, and certain retailers that have struggled through COVID, has impacted the strength of that asset class. So it's sort of asset class dependent, Mario. And then I would say, on the same token, hotels has also been an area that's really struggled. And I should say that office, retail, and hotels, there's been opportunities, I think, for some buyers to get really good deals in that market if they're willing to take some of that risk, and see where they come out. And then I would say, on the other hand, in terms of another strong asset class, seniors housing has been a really strong one. Our demographics in Canada, and sort of what it means for a large segment of the baby boomer population getting closer to retirement and potentially looking at living in seniors' homes, has meant that asset class has also been relatively resilient as well. So it's kind of a long answer to your short question, Mario. But it's really overarching has been interest rates and they're rising, but each asset class has sort of got its own nuance in terms of what's happening. And then we can even talk regionally, and every region has sort of its own nuance as well. And maybe one thing I'll say regionally though, Mario, is that one thing that I've sort of noticed is the regional trends have been, again, it's related to the pandemic and coming out of it, is that people are more focused on where places are that they can live that are affordable, but are also good lifestyle cities that can support a lifestyle for them in terms of their personal life, and they're less focused on living really close to work. And so that's meant that we've seen certain cities become more popular. Take BC, for example. Areas like the Okanagan and Kelowna have been really popular, and same with Vancouver Island. Yeah. and then similar in Alberta with the Rocky Mountains areas like Canmore and Banff, and in Ontario too, the cottage country. So I would say regionally it's been lifestyle focused. Areas that are able to offer a good lifestyle and are more affordable have been sort of popular trends, and there've been a little bit less of the focus on the core of these really big markets and people living downtown and paying a big premium for it. I see would be the big regional trend. So yeah.
So I'm curious, Nadeem, yourself personally, like, how did you, what's the why behind this? Like, why did you get involved in this kind of field?
Yeah, it's a good question, Mario. I would say like from a young age, I've always been interested in real estate. Whenever I saw a building getting built or saw a commercial building, I always sort of wondered about the numbers behind it and how it came to be and what the thinking was about why that building would be in that location, and a little bit of sort of an urban planning mindset. Like I always interested in. And then I went ahead with a business degree and went into accounting and finance, but the back of my mind, real estate was always sort of there. I always thought it was too risky. But then sort of I had a realization moment a number of years ago that life is too short, and we need to do what we love, and that's sort of what helped transition me into commercial real estate. And since I had that background in accounting and finance, it was a really good fit with financing of commercial real estate. So that's sort of what got me into that space. And then I worked at, like I said, I worked at a large brokerage for a number of years, focused on commercial mortgages, and I've always wanted to start my own business and do things my own way and really make an impact in the world. And that's sort of what led to me taking that experience and starting GreenBirch Capital last year. So it's been an exciting journey so far.
All right, super then. And one last thing, Nadeem, what's your vision for GreenBirch Capital as you look forward and into the future?
Yeah, I would say like my vision for GreenBirch is for GreenBirch to be known as or synonymous for being a firm that people can count on and can rely on for their commercial real estate transactions, but also similarly continues to maintain a strong reputation of integrity with its lender clients as well. So I would say growing from coast to coast, improving the brand awareness and maintaining sort of the standards and the passion and excellence and integrity that we're known for our client today.
Okay, I'm always curious of how people come up with names for companies or stores or whatever. Tell me the story behind GreenBirch. How did that name come about?
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of a funny story. Like we were, I was looking at sort of taking two words and combining them together, and a lot of those words were taken. But I had a birch tree in the house I used to live in, and there was a lot of greenery around it. So I was just staring out in my yard one day, and I thought, hey, how about GreenBirch? And so it was born.
Uh, it is interesting. It's something that a lot of people don't think about, right? But it becomes a very important part of your identity, right? What do you think that signifies about the company? When you look at GreenBirch, the thing I think about all right off the bat, well, green is money, right? But also then birch is tree, so growth, and is that kind of like what you're
Yeah,
getting
I think so. I think like I also think about trees as being around for many years and living for many years, and so I think that also is a testament to my vision of the longevity of the business and doing the right things to ensure its longevity as well as part of it.
All right, super. Well, thanks, Nadeem, for joining us today.
It's my pleasure. Thanks a lot for having me, Mario.
All right, super. That was Nadeem Keshavjee, who is president and founder of GreenBirch Capital. I'm Mario Toneguzzi. This has been Business Spotlight. Thanks for joining us today.